Hi everybody, this is Oksana. In this video we're going to make a fun ring that has two cabochons. So I've been making a lot of ring videos lately and this is kind of my more intermediate one. So previous rings have been a little easier, a little more beginner friendly, especially the bead one that I recently made. But now we're getting into kind of more difficult territory. And one thing I just want to say before we get started is in this video, I'll be showing you guys how to determine the size. You want that to be one size larger than you want the actual ring to turn out. So in other words, in this video, when I started, I'm going to be measuring around this 8, going for a size 8, and then my ring ends up being a size 7. So keep that in mind. It ends up being one size smaller. So let's go ahead and get started making this ring. The tools that you will need for this project are wire cutters. These are mine. They are Lindstrom brand. Then you're going to need round nose pliers. Mine are Lindstrom RX 7590 and just regular pliers. Mine are Lindstrom RX 7890. And then for wire, we're going to be using 2 pieces of 20 gauge square dead soft copper wire. It's from riogrande.com. And for the connecting thinner wire, I'm going to be using this half round wire. It's 24 gauge half round wire. And my stones are about 10 millimeters. I have a blue goldstone here and a silky white moonstone. So we are going to start out with 2 pieces of the 20 gauge square copper wire, and they measure 13.5 inches. So you want to figure out what ring size that you need, and you're going to need a ring mandrel if you want to make your ring a specific size. So let's say I'm going for an 8. I'm just going to take my half round wire here, or just a scrap of wire if you have a little scrap on hand, and you want to wrap it around the size that you want, but you want to leave a little gap like this. So I don't know if you can see that, but it's the size plus gap, and I put a little bend here so I know the length. So this is the length that you're going to need to weave or wrap rather with this wire around these 2 wires here. So if you look at the 2 wires and you kind of find the middle of them here, and then you take this measurement and you kind of center that in the middle, you can mark the ends so that you know exactly how much wrapping you need to do. So I marked it with a Sharpie. You can see the little dots there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with these dots here, and I'm going to take a nice long end here because we're going to use some of this end later, and I'm just going to wrap a few times. So this is my half round 24 gauge wire. It's just connected to the spool. I haven't cut myself a piece of it, and I basically just wrapped it around up to the little marking that I have there. I made like 4 wraps just to get it started, so it's connected to these 2 wires, and I have a little end of it here that we're going to use later on. Alright, so now that I got it started like that, I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to keep going until I get to my other little marking there. And what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to turn the 2 wires, and I'm going to guide the half round wire just like this, so it lays down nicely, flat side down, half rounded side up. If it starts to twist, you have time to kind of straighten it out and fix it. So this is going to take a little bit of time, so I'm just going to do it off camera, and I'll come back when I reach this point. Alright, so once it's long enough and you get to your other little dot, trim the wire but leave it long. So you should have a long end here and a long end here on the other side. And what you want to do now is just grab your pliers and press down on that. So you can see where I pressed it, it kind of has been flattened. So you just want to do that across the whole ring band. And then after that, what you want to do is you want to separate these wires like this. I'm just trying to have them kind of even looking. So that's one side. And now we're going to come over here on the other side. Like that. All right, and then once you've done that, you can grab your ring mandrel. And we are going to bend around the ring size. So I'm just bending it around. Let me flip it to the front here so you can see. And then I'm going to just press down so these wires lay flat like this. So that's the little gap there that we had accounted for, and you can just kind of line these wires up a little better because we are going to be connecting them. Since they're square wires, sometimes they kind of turn and an angle is facing you instead of the flat side of the square, so you can just kind of turn them the right way so it's going to be easier to connect them. So what we're going to do is take the little wire end that we left for ourselves and we are going to wrap it around the two wires there like this to connect them together. And then after a couple of wraps, just like 3 wraps should be adequate, we are going to wrap around one single wire. This will just make it more secure and keep it from unraveling. It doesn't matter which wire, just pick a wire and wrap just a couple of times around that single wire. My wire's getting a little twisted here, so I'm just trying to fix that. All right, and then after a couple of wraps, we can trim it. You want the wire end here on the inside. This is where the stones are going to be, so the stones are going to cover up the wire end. So I'm just going to press down on that and then just kind of push down this way as well. Make sure there isn't any kind of gaps there. So just like that, and now we're going to do the same thing here on the other side. All right, so I'm just getting these 2 wires to be lined up nicely with each other, and then I'm taking my little half round wire here and I'm just wrapping that around 3 times. And then I'm just going to wrap it around a single wire here, just a couple of times. All right, so that should be good. I'm going to trim it now. And press down. So here is what we have so far. So now it's time to start adding the stones. So choose one of the stones and position it kind of here in the top portion. Just imagine this ring band going right through the middle. So one stone will be here and the other one underneath. So this first part is a little tricky because you have to hold the stone in place. I usually like to just pinch it tight like this so it doesn't move. And then what I'm gonna do is bend this wire kind of forward onto the stone. So let me switch fingers here, still trying to keep the stone centered. And now I'm gonna take this wire and I'm gonna start bending it around the edge of the stone like this. All right, now I'm gonna switch sides. I'm gonna keep bending that wire around the stone. Keep it in mind that we do have to trap the stone in, so we're bending it kind of onto the edge of the stone to try to trap it in a little bit. So you don't want to bend it in like a big circle so the stone can pop out, in other words. So when we get to the top again, like this, what we're going to do to help the stone be a little extra secure is we're going to take this innermost wire and we're going to curve it and make a little loop. And that's going to help hold the stone in even more. And you can use your pliers if you need to kind of get in there and shape the loop a little bit, because the goal is for this wire to kind of come back on the edge here. All right, so once you've done that, I usually just kind of bend it this way. And here's how the stone looks on the back. So the stone is secure on the back because we kind of centered it right on these wires here. So there isn't like a huge chunk of the stone exposed. It's kind of like half and half, and that makes it more secure. If you do have a really large stone, then this may not work very well. 10 millimeters is about the largest you can go, because otherwise you'll have just like a lot of area of the stone exposed and it might kind of wobble side to side in here. Might not have enough back support there. And maybe potentially you can make like a little swirl or something with these wires to try to cover up more of the back and make it more secure. But for now, let's just stick with a smaller size stone. So this stone is good. It is locked in, and before I completely finish it, I like to do my other stone. So we're gonna grab our other stone, put it here at the top, and we're gonna take these wires, kind of bend them forward and start to curve them around the edge there of the stone. We're going to bring them all the way around, just like we did before, and we are going to make that little swirl as well. I'm going to come in here with my pliers to kind of tighten up that swirl. There we go. And now continuing both of the wires here all the way around, and kind of bend them to the back a little bit there. Everything seems good. You can press on your stone from the back to make sure that this window on the front is nice and small and it's not going to pop out. So now we just have to finish off the wires. So what I'm going to do is I want to tuck them through. For me, it's easier not to take the end and tuck it through, but rather to make this kind of little curve and pull it through this way. I feel like that causes like the least disturbance to the rest of the design. So I'm going to take this innermost wire and I am going to trim it, but leave a little end. I'll show you guys how much to leave. There we go. You see that? Just a little bit so that we can take that and turn it in here and then press down on that. There we go. And then this wire, we are going to wrap it this way. And I'm going to leave it for now, but I'm going to make a little decorative swirl. I'll just do that to both at the same time. So I'm going to leave it for now, come back to this side. Let's tuck that through. All right, which one is our innermost wire? That would be this one. So we're just going to trim it. And we're going to tuck that wire end away. Let's kind of press down on that and hide it away. There we go. And now this wire, we can wrap it this way. Let's press down on it. And we just have to make 2 little swirls now. So I'm just going to trim and leave myself just enough to make a swirl. It just depends on, you know, how big you want the swirl to be. I'm also going to kind of press these together a little bit. I don't want a gap in the middle between them. So here's how that's looking, and all we have to do now is make our little swirls. So I'm just using my round nose pliers. This is the only portion that you need your round nose pliers for. I'm kind of squishing my wire here. That's how I like to make my swirls. I squish the tip of the wire and then I go ahead and just swirl it. You want to press down on that really well. The problem with swirls is they can theoretically get caught on something and lift up, so you just want to press it down really well. There isn't really any other way to secure it down in a case like this, and we are going to do that here on the other side as well. And press down. All right, now let's take a look at our ring. If you need to adjust these at all, like I think I need to move this one just a tiny bit to this side. Let's grab our ring mandrel, and it actually ended up being a size 7 instead of an 8. So the stuff that we did here and the extra kind of wires that we added around here all made it a little bit smaller, and it ended up being a size smaller than expected. So that's just something to keep in mind. I'm gonna insert that information in the beginning of the video too, so you guys would have seen it when you're making the ring. So that's it. That is the double stone ring. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Leave me a like down below if you did, and don't forget to subscribe. I post new videos every weekend. Bye.